Good afternoon. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we started discussing about the NLP basics, um, and also discussed on what are the common tasks under NLP research, and more on the history, right? So what is the problems, everyday's problems, what is NLP, and so on. And what makes NLP hard is ambiguity. It's ambiguity in every level, every different level. There is an ambiguity. There is a confusion, right? How do which one way we need to use or follow to interpret that particular part. And we have taken an example, the sentence "I made her duck." So I made her duck. The possible understanding would be many things, right? I cooked a waterfowl, or the duck is a waterfowl, or a duck is a doll, right? Or how to relate whether the duck is my duck or her duck, right? And what do we mean by make? So all these things, there are so many complications, so many difficulties in understanding the exact meaning of the sentence. So some of them, for example, duck is a verb or noun. Duck could be suddenly lower head, or suddenly move something, that is called duck as a verb. And duck is a waterfall is a noun. Duck is a waterfall is a noun. So whether this duck in this particular statement is a verb or noun, we can use part of speech tagging. We can use the part of speech tagging techniques. There are several techniques available, and we can use them to differentiate that, to identify what particular POS tag is the right one here. And likewise, make, what does it mean by make? Does it mean create or cook? Right? Can be solved using a word sense disambiguation, because I discussed about different senses. Suppose if I take bank, bank can be used as a verb as well as a noun. Banking, that is, if I do banking, as its bank is a verb now, and if I mention that as a noun, for example, I go to bank, I go to river bank, or also this, all these things are referring the particular type, word type, whether it's a noun or verb. Apart from this, if it is a noun, even in a noun, the um, make may mean a create or a cook. Oh, sorry, it's verb as a verb, make as a verb may mean a create, a meaning of create, a creation, or cooking. So two different things are there. Two different senses are there. So how do we choose the one? The rightful meaning is by word sense disambiguation, and part of speech tagging and word sense disambiguation is part of lexical disambiguation. And beyond this, for synthesis problem also, so how do we pronounce a particular word? Okay, so that can be solved. And sentence as a whole, whether it is a rightful sentence correctly formed or not, we can use what syntactic disambiguation, and we can parse the sentence using direct parsing techniques are there, or we can go with the probabilistic parsing and so on. So many ways are there to interpret a given sentence or a given text. So these things we discussed already. Some examples we have seen, and if you look at it, other complications in understanding these particular things are including non-standard English. Non-standard English, for example, somebody tweets or writes, "Great job at Justin Bieber." So what does it mean? I'm saying to this particular person, Justin Bieber, we are so proud. We don't use this quotation mark because people started using this in a short way, short forms. Everyday life now goes in short form. People started using on their own. They think that it is a very familiar, very um, uh, prestigious way of using language, right? But it is actually not. Right? We are is used as where. So proud. So proud is double O. They insist the importance. They insist the importance. So proud of what you have done, what you have accomplished, right? And U is for you. YOU. YOU is turned to you. So like this, it's a non-standard language. Non-standard language, and we may need to process this also. And there may be segmentation issues. segmentation issues. For example, if the sentence is given like this: the New York New Haven Railroad, New York New Haven Railroad, and they use a hyphen here, so it might be broken like the New York New Haven Railroad, or the New York New Haven Railroad, right? So such a representation, this kind of representation is called multi-word expressions. Multi-word expressions, they can be fixed or flexible. So this will give us the meaning of a particular word. So what do you mean by New Ark? What do you mean by New Haven? So this, when I see such an appearance of text, I can easily understand this. This is not individual words. They are two words together or three words together. That's what multi-word expressions. But in this way also we may understood. Somebody uses hyphen to connect two words. So instead of connecting New York, we may connect York and New. Okay. So there are segmentation issues. We need to understand where to segment these things. That is a difficulty. Idioms, they are not directly mean anything. Okay. It is very, very particular for any languages. That language, how do they use the idiom? That way we need to understand the meaning of these sentences as well. Again, they can be used as a group of words. Group of words. Neologism. How do we use these new words? Unfriend, retweet, Brahmins, and something like that. And worldly knowledge is required. For example, Mary and Sue are sisters. Mary and Sue are sisters means they are sisters to each other. They are sisters to each other. When say Mary and Sue are mothers, that doesn't mean that they are mothers to each other. They are mothers of somebody, right? They are both are mothers of somebody else. Like this we need to differentiate. And entity extraction, tricky entity names. Where is a bug's life playing? Where is a bug's life playing? It seems like a single sentence, but we have annotated here, or we have used special characters to represent them, so we can understand, yeah, bug's life is some entity, but in reality it is not so like that. Where is a bug's life playing? So I have to extract that particular entity. It's not a single, it's not a, it's not bug, it's not life, it is a bug's life. It's a movie name that I have to relate that entity. Let it be was recorded, some album or something like that. Let it be is a, it's a single entity and it refers to some album, whatever it is, because of so many things, right? So here now and then people are started using something differently. So because of these reasons also, so understanding a natural language or processing a natural language is very difficult, right? So this is what we discussed in the last class, and we go with the several stages of language processing today. What distinguishes language processing applications from other data processing systems is their use of knowledge of language. Use of knowledge of language. So we have discussed in the last class. We have two different goals for in language processing. The one is science goal. The other one is engineering goal. The science goal dealt with the understanding about a particular language. So how this language is used. What are the words? What is the vocabulary for this language? How we can form different words from the base words, root words from this language. So all these things are, it's about science core, it's about knowledge of the languages. Okay, so that is what that language knowledge is differ that from any other data processing systems. I just go with the database, I store my data in a structured database, I want to access this data. So how it is happening, that is a difference, right? So what do we need? Different stages or levels, or we call it as linguistic essentials, linguistic knowledge that is required to understand a particular languages. These are the things: phonetics and phonology. It's about sound. How do we make sound? How do you pronounce something, right? How we expect the system to pronounce, like all these things are phonetics and phonology. And actually that natural language processing does not start with this one. This is for speech recognition and speech synthesis. We may have something separately. This is the first level. I have a text as an input, or I may have a um, um, an mp3, a voice as an input, right? These two things are initially processed. So text as an input, directly I can go with morphology. This case, when it's a voice as an input, the phonetics and phonology are involved to understand what exactly uttered or what exactly to be uttered. All these things. So whether it is phonetics, phonology, morphology is about words and its components, how a word can be formed. And lexical analysis is about understanding every word in it, understanding every word. It's a type, it's a um, complete detail about a word. And syntactic analysis is about structural relationship between words. How do we make a sentence in a particular language? And semantic analysis is about meaning of words as a whole in a sentence. Does it mean that really thing what exactly it literally meaning, or it means different things? And plus these two things, pragmatics and discourse. So pragmatics about relationship of meaning with the intention of the speaker, right? So somebody says that not direct information, they're just going to share something, but it refers to something else, not literal meaning. Okay, that is pragmatics. And discourse is about linguistic units larger than a single utterance, or larger than a single sentence. Beyond this sentence we may need to refer something. If I want to relate some component, some word in this particular sentence, I may relate them to something already told or something's going to be told. Okay, so like this, that kind of things is discourse analysis. Okay, so phonetics, morphology, lexical analysis, syntactic analysis, semantic analysis, pragmatics, discourse, all these things. So this will help you in understanding a language completely, right? Phonetics, it's a study of sounds and their relations to words. It deals with how words are pronounced in terms of sequence of sounds, and how each of these sounds is realized acoustically, how the system is going to grasp that information. When we say something, the Siri is going to understand it, how it is going to do that. Okay, so I already told you, when we say something, the Siri is going to grasp the thing and convert into text, and it process the text, understand the text, and it's going to return as a speech synthesis, through speech synthesis, right? So these are the things happening. So the two major applications of phonetics are speech recognition and speech synthesis. Speech recognition is the computing device understand what we say. Right? Speech synthesis is it has to generate voice, so it has to answer the question to the end user, somebody who's asked these questions. That is speech synthesis. So we have several challenges. The major challenges is the homophone, homonyms. For example, carrot versus carrot. These three words D means differently, but sounds similar. Carrot, carrot, carrot. One carrot is a mass, one carrot refers to unit, one carrot refers to vegetable. So these kind of words, how the system has to analyze, has to understand that. So when I say something, it has to convert into text. Which spelling is going to be used for this? Okay, again, of course, this can be resolved using the contextual words. What are the other words I'm just going to utter along with these words? Based on this one, it can be solved. So these are all called homophones. That is the biggest challenge. Then we have identifying a word boundary or identifying a phrase boundary. These are also challenges. When I say something, phonetics is a study of sounds and their relations to words. Suppose if I give ample space between every word, utterance of every word, it may not be a difficult task for the system to grasp what I'm saying. So it can easily identify the boundary between words. But if I talk it in a different way, or if I'm the foreigner who uses that particular country's language, I may not do that exactly. So these are the issues: word boundary and phrase boundary as a whole. How I'm going to make a pass between phrases. Okay, so how the system can understand different phrases. These three things are the major challenges in phonetics. And the second one is morphology, where it's about word formation rules from root words. It depends on every language, particular language. That language has vocabulary and it has a grammar, and the words, root words in a vocabulary could be uh, uh, used in different purposes differently by adding some additional characters to that word. Okay, so that is what the rule, the, completely about a particular language. The study of internal structures of words and how they can be modified. We use a term called morpheme. Morpheme means a minimal unit of meaningful word. Minimum unit of meaning. I want to say what it is, right? I cannot say that A, B, C, D to refer something to that. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. No, nothing is understandable, right? But at the same time, what is the minimum unit? Minimum set of characters to form a word. So we have the stem or root word. Stem or root word, that is what major thing any language. Any language has a vocabulary. That vocabulary is the stem or root word. We call that as a free morpheme. Free morpheme. We don't need anything else to understand the meaning of these words. We don't need anything to understand the meaning of that word. That kind of things is free morpheme. The other things are called bound morphemes. Bound morphemes. So here in this example, unhappiness, un is prefixed, nes is suffixed. So un means somehow we can understand it is not being. Nes is, it's not a word, it's meaning a state of being. But they alone does not give any meaning. These few characters does not give any meaning on its own, on their own. So such things are called bound morphemes. Can be added with any free morphemes, then they can form a meaningful word. Okay, we call it as inflection or derivation. We call it as inflection or derivation. So how it is modified is with the stem, that is a free morpheme, we can add bound morphemes either in prefix or in suffix or both. We call it a circumfix, or even in some languages, some infix can be added as well. I can break a word into two and insert something in between, insert some few characters in between. Such things also possible. Okay, so like this, morpheme can be inflected, can be derived into different words, different meaningful words. That is what morphology is about. And why do we need this one? Because we are searching for something. For example, in IR, information retrieval, recall, it increases the recall, the ability to recall the actual content which are out there. So if I'm searching for something, I just try to find the uh, keywords, and I find the root of these keywords, and I'm going to search these things with the actual documents so that I can fetch the actual files, actual documents that supports my query. Okay, so such things are benefited. There are several things there. Why do we need to perform this morphological parsing? So morphological parsing is parsing the complex word into their component word. Okay, either I may try to find the root word from the given surface form, or I may try to construct a surface form from the root word. We will discuss on this later. Okay, for example, the simple version is noun a boy. By adding a free bound morpheme, yes, boy becomes boys, a plural version of the noun boy. Likewise, identify, it becomes identified by replacing y with ied in a different meaning, with a different meaning, and so on. And complex form, something like man becomes men, woman becomes women, right? And good, better, best, something like this. There are not directly involved. And if you see, as I mentioned, languages, some of the languages that are rich in morphological processing, very much morphological processing is required is Dravidian languages, that is Tamil, Telugu, um, Kannada, Malayalam, these four languages are rich in morphological processing. And Hungarian languages, Turkish language, some of the European languages also rich in morphology. And languages, some of poor in morphology are Chinese and English. Chinese are very poor because one word, one character. One word, one character. So there is no inflection, there is no addition of free morphemes much required. Much of these is not required in this case of these particular languages. This is about morphology. And lexical analysis. When I say lexical analysis, it's knowledge of the meanings of component words. An example is given here. When I say lion, what is a lexical property? What is a word type? Whether it is a noun or a verb or adjective or verb, whatever it is. Under what category you can place this one? So lion is a lexical property. Lion is coming under only one lexical property, that is noun. And its morphological property, we can add yes, a free morpheme, a bound morpheme to represent its plural. And what is the semantic property? Meaning of this one. It's an animal. It's a four-legged animal because lion is a an animal living in the jungle. That may be a direct meaning, direct synonyms, but that is not going to use helpful in processing the language, right? So what lion is about? It's an animal. It's a four-legged animal. So like this, we can find out the categories, groups, right? And this lexical analysis are used in POS disambiguation or WSD, word sense disambiguation, right? I mentioned it's a lexical disambiguation. Lexical disambiguation. That means I want to identify, in some cases, I want to understand what exact POS tag I should give for bank. In this case, I went to bank. Now, what is a word type of bank? Is it a noun or a verb? It's a noun, right? And word sense disambiguation. I went to bank to deposit money. I went to bank to deposit money. Now, bank is a noun, and what sense it is about? What is semantic property? What semantic property must match with this bank in this case? In this case, it's a financial institution, right? In other case, maybe I went to bank to a walk for a walk. I went to bank for a walk, right? It may be a river bank. Like this, we must be able to differentiate the senses. That is word sense disambiguation. All are coming under lexical analysis or lexical disambiguation. And syntactic analysis, it's a knowledge needed to order and group words together. Simply, we cannot say, we cannot form a word. If I know the um, vocabulary of a particular language, I cannot simply construct a sentence. It is not possible, right? So we need to understand the roles played by different words in that particular sentence, and based on the roles played, I have to place them accordingly. And a grammar is involved as well. So, for example, innocent, peacefully, children, sleep, little. All these words are placed, all these words are spelled correctly, but the placement is not correct. Placement is not correct, so you don't understand anything out of it. Innocent, peacefully, children sleep little, but at the same time, when it's ordered properly, innocent, little children sleep peacefully, right? That is a difference. That is what we want to do with an analysis. So there is a noun phrase, there is a verb phrase, so where do I place them here, as in the case, as in this case? We have a sentence. We will talk about context-free grammar. Okay. So we have a sentence. That sentence, there is a rule. Sentence can be constructed using a noun phrase followed by a verb phrase. And noun phrase, there is another rule. Noun phrase can be constructed using a determiner followed by a noun, and so on. Okay, so this is a rule. This is the grammar that is very much required to form a sentence. And when we do the syntactic analysis, we want to parse that sentence. We want to parse that sentence to understand its structure. So a parser is required. A parser is a program that takes as input a sentence and produces the analysis of the sentence. How the sentence is formed. What are the POS word types are used here, and what are the phrases are used here? How do we relate words? The link of one word with other word, how it is linked. All these things are possible if I apply a sentence to a parser. Even you can try it online. You can search for any parser in any particular language. You can feed the sentence, it will give you the parsed analysis of that particular sentence. So if you want to construct a parser, what do we require? We require a grammar, a lexicon. A lexicon is a vocabulary, a dictionary of legal words, and they are part of spell taking everything. And grammar is a set of rules, as I mentioned here in this example. NP gives determiner noun, VP gives verb, NP gives again determiner noun, VP could be verb, prepositional phrase, and so on, and so on. So these are all the rules, the grammar, which is used to construct sentences out of a particular language. Right? This is complete syntactic analysis. Once syntactic analysis is done, the next level is to understand the semantic of the sentence. So semantic of the sentence is to understand the meaning of the complete sentence, what exactly it means. I have understood the word individually, I have understood the structure individually, structure of the sentence, everything is correct. Now it comes to the meaning of the sentence. When it comes to the meaning of the sentence, there are so many things we need to study about this. For example, study of the meaning of words and how these combine to form the meaning of the sentences. Okay, so we have an online ontology or a thesaurus called WordNet. So WordNet, it is an ontology which is rating words and like this in this form: synonymy, hyponymy, meronymy, homonymy, antonymy. Because that will make us to relate things in a broader sense. For example, I'm looking for some information about a dog. So dog is an animal. Okay, so how come we are getting web pages in an information retrieval in a search engine which is talking about animal? I don't use the word animal in my query. Okay, I want to look for a dog breed. That's my query, and this is going to talk about something animals. Okay, how is it possible? Because they are related, we are going to relate them in a broader sense. I try to look at them directly. If I'm able to get something, I'm going to give it to you, and beyond this I try to find something which is not directly interrelated. There may be some hidden relationship, we call it as latent relationship between entities. So for instance, hypernymy and hyponymy. So hypernymy means the whole thing, the major thing, the main thing, and hyponymy is a specific of that particular category. So animal is a dog is an animal. Dog is an animal. That means dog is a specific thing. It's a hyponym. Dog is a hyponym of animal. Animal is a hypernym of dog. Animal is a hypernym of cow. Animal is a hypernym of beard. Like that it goes. Okay. So these are all will help us to understand the meaning of a sentence or a text. Right? And after this, pragmatics. It's a subfield of linguistics and semiotics that studies the ways in which context contributes to the meaning. Context. So literal meaning may not be valid in some cases. So how the context is going to help us understanding the given text. So for example, it could be a conversational implicator, right? Or it could be a presupposition. Two different examples I'm just giving you. In case of conversational implicator, see at this sentence, somebody says that, what on earth has happened to the roast beef? Can I answer this question? No. The dog is looking very happy. The dog is looking very happy. These two, or maybe uttered or observed by the person who says this question: what on earth has happened to the roast beef? The dog is looking very happy. That might be, I put the roast beef or somewhere else. My dog was there. That means dog is looking very happy means it must have eaten the roast beef. That is what the meaning here. The implicator. Implicator is the dog ate the roast beef. So here we cannot understand exact meaning, direct meaning out of this one. Or the presupposition, as I mentioned. Presupposition means, for example, Jane no longer writes fiction. What does it mean? Jane never wrote fiction? No. Once Jane wrote fiction, but now she's not going to write anymore. That is what presupposition. Jane once wrote fiction. These are all valid sentences, meaningful sentences, but understanding the meaning may be difficult, even difficult for the human being to understand them. This is called pragmatics. The difference between semantics and pragmatics is, semantics, it means literal meaning. It means literally what does it mean? That is what semantics, and what exactly the speaker tried to convey is pragmatics. It may be many things depend on situation and worldly knowledge. The pragmatics plays that role. For example, two example, give me the book. Could you please give me the book? Is there any meaning, two different meanings? Absolutely not. Both are somebody asking book from someone else. But the first way is ordering them. I order them to give the book. The second way is we are requesting them to give the book. It is two different understanding of the same sentence, same meaning, same meaningful sentences. Like this is what pragmatics. And finally, discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is studying the units larger than a single statement. Larger than a single statement. For example, anaphora, right? So relating something in this sentence with the previous sentences, right? He hits the car with a stone, it bounces back. Now it bounces back. It may not be linked with he, but it can be linked either with car or a stone. Right? Again, it is ambiguous. It's full of ambiguous. So where do we relate it? Can we relate it with car or stone? Where do we relate that one? It can be related with car or stone.
Sir, with both we can relate, but it's more appropriate with
Stone.
car.
It is with stone.
Stone.
Most probably, he hits the car with the stone, it bounces back. So somebody is throwing the stone on the car so that it bounces back. Definitely it is related to stone. It is probabilistically more possibly related to stone. Suppose if the size of the stone is very bigger than the car. Now what bounces back? The car
Car
bounces
can
back,
bounce
The
back.
not
car
the
bounces
stone,
back.
right? Because of the weight of the stone. So, and here it is ambiguous statement. Of course, we may think whether a person can throw such a big stone, maybe using some equipments. So whole it is full of ambiguous. Right? So discourse analysis wants such things which tries to relate words present in one sentence and tries to relate these words with the different sentences in the same text. Okay, so understanding a text, discourse analysis involve who, when, where, what are involved in an event, how to connect semantic representations of different sentences, how to mingle two sentences, and what is the cause of an event and what is the consequences of action. So everything, all are involved in discourse analysis. So these are the different levels or stages can be represented in this diagram. We have a surface text, a simple text is given to you. You can perform a tokenization, or we call it as pre-processing. We try to understand the lexical information as a lexeme. Then we can go for the sentences syntactic analysis, understanding the structure of the sentence, whether it is correct or not. Then we are going for semantic analysis, trying to understand the meaning of the sentence. Then we try to understand the speaker's intended meaning. Is it the right literal meaning which we have extracted from semantic analysis, or does it mean anything different? That is pragmatic analysis and discourse analysis, everything. Okay, so these are the called as the stages of NLP. You can refer this material in the this Zuravsky book, which I uploaded already. Okay, you can refer. I just request you to refer that book to understand more on these several stages of NLP. Now, you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
so could you explain conversational implicature and pragmatics?
Sorry.
The conversational implication
No, some
and
other sound I'm hearing.
sir, conversational implicature
Ah,
in pragmatics. Can you explain that example? For the roast beef.
conversational implications. I say something. It's part of the conversation, but the literal meaning is not really conveyed, really uttered. Okay, so I am saying that what on earth has happened to the roast beef. I, that means I prepared beef, right? I roasted the beef. I put it maybe on the table, right? But when I come back and look at that, it is disappeared. So I say that what on earth has happened to the roast beef. Then I'm looking at the dog. It is looking very happy. So what does it mean? It's the implication is the dog might have ate the roast beef because no one else is there in this room or in this environment, right? So that is the conversational implication. We are not at all saying that literal meaning or what we try to say, but we say something else. But the meaning could be understood by the people who are in that environment. Okay, so who are
Yes, sir, yes,
surrounding,
sir, got it.
not different. Okay, that is what
Yes, sir.
conversational implication. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you.